So there are different. Every food that you eat will affect or impact your sugar level differently, and when sugar level is impacted, so is insulin as well. So remember, when you eat, sugar goes into the blood, so does insulin. So if your body is used to having a lot of sugar or a spike of blood sugar, then you end up having too much insulin as well. When you have too much insulin in the blood, your brain becomes tolerant to it. We call that insulin resistance. It's like, for example, I don't know if in your primary school, mko mnachapwa sana, if your beating gets to a point, you don't even feel any pain because you're tolerant. You're used to that pain. So the brain becomes tolerant to it, and then that brings insulin resistance, and that's like the first step of diabetes type 2. So diabetes doesn't just happen overnight. And when you have insulin resistance, losing weight is hard for you, because when insulin is present in the blood, it shuts down other hormones that are supposed to be burning fat. So when every time you eat an excess of calories, an excess of energies, the body stores that excess. If you eat excess carbs, excess protein, the body stores that excess as glycogen in the liver. And so when every time you need fuel, so for example, you want to run for 30 minutes,
beat up your child,
or no, or do some moderate intensity workout, the glycogen will be the quick source of energy. So we call glycogen as an energy boost, and that's the form of fuel that the body uses first before tapping into the fat. So when now the body has depleted glycogen stores during your 30 minutes of maybe moderate walking or whatever, then now after that depletion, now that's when the body goes and taps into the fat. So if in any case you'll have eaten maybe an orange or a fruit after your depletion, then the body won't tap into the fat to fuel you. It's gonna use the sugar, the energy that you've given it.
Okay. So that's why it's very important to make sure that you, in this period that you're fasting, you're essentially making sure that you're essentially making sure that you are utilizing whatever is stored. Because actually the analogy, or the fridge analogy, was you when you eat X amount of calories, you put them in a fridge. Has two compartments. It has a freezer and has a fridge. So in the fridge, it's very accessible, very easy transactionally accessing and storing, and then assume now the freezer has an infinite amount of storage. So the fridge has an unlimited amount of storage. So when the glycogen amount is completed in the fridge section, it is pushed to the freezer, which you can store absolutely everywhere. It's a fat in your stomach. It's a fat in your face. In your face. In your face. And so essentially what happens is when you're fasting, so the analogy now for fasting becomes that when you're fasting, and especially if you're fasting and you're working out, is that you consume the food in the fridge very quickly, the glycogen, and then now the body is left stranded. What do we do? It now goes to the freezer.
Exactly.
The freezer. And so and the same goes. I don't know how that looks like now, like what's the science behind it? And also maybe explain a bit now the science behind now when you're fasting with in the background of that analogy.
So when you are fasting, it means that you are not you're not giving your blood sugar, and different foods spike sugar differently. So carbohydrates spike sugar the most, followed by protein, and then fats are the least. Fats have the least impact on your sugar levels. That's why if you feel like snacking anything, it's better snacking on plant-based fats instead of even a fruit if you don't want to
fat
break
foods
that.
are the ones that make people fat.
What and also maybe the bad fat maybe because it's an inflammatory food, but healthy fats, plant-based fats will not spike your insulin levels at all. Will have the minimal effect on your sugar levels and insulin as well. And so actually eating plant-based fats or snacking on them might usually will increase your insulin sensitivity. But also it's careful. Remember we talked about anything, as much as it's healthy, it will still give you energy in form of calories, and fats have the highest amount of, like when 1 gram of carbs and protein gives you 4 calories, 1 gram of fat gives you 9 calories. So as much as it doesn't have an effect on your insulin, don't overdo it again, don't overindulge. So when you fast, it means your sugar levels are low, and so is your insulin level. And when your insulin level is low, remember we said as long as you have insulin present in the blood, it's very difficult for you to burn fat even if you're exercising. Why? Because presence of insulin in the blood shuts down other hormones that are responsible for fat burning, like glucagon, for example.
Okay.
So for you to use glycogen, glucagon hormone has to increase, and glucagon is what now converts the glycogen into sugar and fuels you when you're not eating. And so when insulin is low in the blood, then other fat burning hormones like growth hormones increase now.
Okay.
And then when those hormones are high, then you will be able to tap into your fat for that fat to fuel you.
That's very interesting.
So but fats, remember we have different, there's essential, because you also need good fats, as in you need fat in the body as well to survive and to make
things.
Hormones, all that. And so there's essential fat and the storage fat. So the storage fat is now what you want to tap into it, and the storage fat is usually the subcutaneous fat underneath the whole skin, face and everything, and the visceral fat, which is the most dangerous and the most stubborn kind of fat.
The stomach one.
So now when your insulin is low, so therefore you're able to tap into those kinds of fat. But these essential fats that are in the liver, in your muscle, in the heart, in the digestive systems, those are there to keep your body functioning well.
It's very interesting because now I think so. Essentially, what you're saying is, if you are fasting in this period of in this window of fasting, essentially what you're doing, and by making sure that you've not eaten anything that period, is making sure that your insulin level is low, and your glucagon level is high, so that now you can go hunting. The glucagon can go hunting for fats in all these different places.
Exactly.
That is very, very interesting.